Okay, thank you very much for those who have joined. I'm sure that all of you who have joined the session know that Anjaneyam is currently playing on the Cystic platform and is available for viewing until tomorrow evening. I watched it last night actually, and I've been completely wowed by it. And I was just talking to both Aravinth Kumarasamy and Mohanapriyan Thavarajah, who are here right now to engage in a conversation with us. It's a fabulous cross-cultural production, and we are going to be discussing specifically the Aahaaryam aspects of Anjaneyam, which is the costume and the set design. While I was gearing up for this presentation, as has been my style as a journalist, to kind of research a little bit in terms of quotes, and there was one particular quote from verse from the Hanuman Chalisa that particularly struck me. And it goes, for those who know the Hanuman Chalisa, is Tumhare bhajan Ram ko paave, janma janma ke dukh bisarave, antakal raghuvar pur jai, jahan janma hari bhakt kahai. It literally translates into, when one sings your praise, your name, he gets to meet Lord Rama and finds relief from the sorrows of many lifetimes. By your grace, one will go to the immortal abode of Lord Rama after death and remain devoted to him. Now, this is a significant verse, I thought, in many ways, because it establishes not only the relationship between Hanuman and Rama, but also the fact that he's really a powerful messenger with direct, uninterrupted access to Lord Rama. Anjaneyam, Hanuman's Ramayana, reinforces exactly that powerful connection Hanuman shares with Lord Rama and allows us to revisit the Ramayana through his lens. What's really particularly exciting in the way Anjaneyam unfolds is that it follows the life and adventures of Hanuman right from his birth to his meeting with the exiled Prince Rama and to the heroic battle against Ravana and his army. But what I particularly liked was it also takes us back in time to the very genesis of the Ramayana itself, where Hanuman encounters its author, Valmiki. But Anjaneyam really, honestly, for me, is really more than its mere ability to tell a good story using the vehicle of dance theatre. It is a glorious, according to me, a glorious coming together of choreography and costume, music and set design, a fusion of Bharatanatyam and the Javanese art form, and it's a reminder truly of the power of collective consciousness that believes that God is really in every detail. Thank you, Aravinth Kumarasamy, Artistic Director, Apsara's Arts, and really the one who conceived and directed this mammoth production. And welcome Mohanapriyan Thavarajah, Principal Dancer Choreographer of the Apsara's Arts. And both of them, the way the session has been designed is that Mohanapriyan will delve deeply into the costume aspect of Anjaneyam, and Aravinth will shed light on the set design aspect of Anjaneyam. And then we will have a short Q&A. And we've tried to intersperse it with little excerpts of Anjaneyam that will trigger your curiosity and ensure that you watch the screening tomorrow before it ends. Also, there is a small fee and you're free to pay whatever you can. And it would be great if everybody paid, because it goes to the development of similar other work that Apsara's Arts can produce like this. And I think it'll be great if we can actually support and pay a little, pay a generous ticket sum. Thank you, Aravinth, and thank you for joining. And thank you everybody who's joined and watching. We're going to start off with a little excerpt of Anjaneyam before Priyan takes over. Um, um,
Audio.
the audio, Suprita, may I ask you to please replay this because the audio isn't very clear? I'm sorry, we just had a little trouble. We're going to replay the scene for you. Just bear with us, please. Still having some trouble?
Yeah, I think we have an audio problem.
I think we have an audio problem. Maybe we can, after Priyan finishes his presentation, we can probably play the scene again, Aravinth?
Sure.
Yeah. Priyan, would you like to start? I think you need to unmute your audio, Priyan.
Okay. I think now I'm audible.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Aalaap and Akhila, for having me in this conversation to share what we have been doing, and especially what we have done, especially for Anjaneyam, creating the mammoth visuals together with the beautiful dance production. So let me share my screen. Yeah, so the costume design is it's not at all very a new thing, and it has been set very much in detail in Natya Shastra, how the characters are personified through material and colors and face paintings. So this is something that our Indian classical art forms have been practicing over the centuries, and over the years, the infusions of technology and lots of advantages now, we are making the art form little more enhanced with the given treasures and sources. So now the costume design has been totally a very key aspect of creating any dance piece or any dance production. So in that way, Anjaneyam lends numerous dance characters that are, that those are very much in detail, not because of their character, and also with their costuming aspect. So first I will go through first the ensemble costumes. So this is the Apsaras and Gandharvas costume. So as we know in Anjaneyam, Apsaras and Gandharvas were used as the narrators for the entire production. So from the start till the end, the Apsaras and Gandharvas will appear almost in every scene. So this is the first costume that I tried, and you would see the sketch on the other side. So this is made out of Javanese batik design, and you can see my cursor moving. No, right on the screen.
No.
Okay, so since Apsaras and Gandharvas are heavenly dancers and musicians, and we wanted to choose the colors which can give serenity little more divinity and also some kind of royalty, because they are very rich in their quality. So we use this Javanese batik block prints, which look like a gold. Actually, this is not gold. It's an orangish, yellowish color shade. It turned out to be a gold on the white net that has been placed. But after all, this design was done for the Esplanade run in the first phase of run in May. But eventually, when the set started evolving behind the dancers, we found out that this color scheme didn't work out, and also the design could be a little more elaborated to infuse with the other characters also on stage. So we actually changed this, the entire design of Apsaras and Gandharvas. And this is the latest and final version of Apsara's costume. And you would see the Indian vibrant colors, especially the maroon, the rust, the bottle green, which are like the predominantly used in Indian dance dramas, and they have got their colors, and these colors comes reflected in the sets, and also some of the other characters comes in the other part of the productions. So this is how the Apsara costume was considered, and these colors were put on the very royal shimmery gold, so that like they look as if though they have come from the heavenly surrounding. And after the costume and the ornaments that we chose, we thought of like taking the Hamsa motif for the entire jewelry system. Apparently this is the dress rehearsals. So by the time the other jewelries that I've designed and got it ordered from Sri Lanka, and it didn't arrive on the time, so the dancers are wearing something else. But including their choker and their long chain padakam and their belt, everything was made with the motif of swan. But now in the representation of swan, you can see on their head, in their headgear, and in their bun behind. So swan is something, like we see that very distinguished bird, and swan can also identify the goodness and also the badness. So that is my idea and narrative, to pick swan as a motive for this heavenly beautiful dances. And there we go with Gandharvas as the narrators again. And for me, creating a Gandharva's visual was quite challenging, because I was looking at the Puranic stories and some of the texts, some of the pictures that have been already exist in our Hindu mythology, and I wanted to create something with very Javanese, because this production talks about the blending of these two ethnicity. So I had designed this headgear of I've taken the inspiration from the Java architecture. So all their costume and the jewelries drawn inspiration from the architecture of Indonesia. So this the piece that they are adorning on their chest is just a one piece with the headgear and some hand ornaments. And again, they are adorned with the shimmery gold kind of material to complement and reflect their companions Apsaras. And this is the close-up of the Gandharva jewelry, and to have little reflection, like to create a costume for a mammoth production, we have also to be aware of the cost factor. So instead of the stones, I have used the glass pieces that can reflect it when the lights are thrown on the dancer's body. So you would see on the jewelry, there are glass pieces have been fixed to have the reflection and give some like glitter look when they appear on stage. And on the left, you will see the ensemble of Gandharvas representing Mahavishnu on the Garuda Bhavan. And here the Gandharvas, as we know, as heavenly musicians playing the yard. And these are the motifs that I've used to create Gandharvas jewelries. And when you go to Indonesia, there are carvings, the wooden carving, especially on the wall, on the window, and some of the temples have got like very beautiful and intricate carving. So that were the inspiration for me to design these jewelries which worn by Gandharvas. And next we come to the Dasharatha's court, and every court has a court dancers, and they represent as a court dancers of King Dasharatha, and they are very much in similar form of Bharatanatyam outlook, but their hairstyle is being little more elaborated to have a piece of a Javanese style a creedom or a crown kind of thing being attached, and also their belt has been redesigned in order to match the Javanese aesthetic. These are the dancers from Ravana's court. So as per the description of Hanuman, Hanuman describes the Lanka is the most luxurious kingdom of the entire world. Even the buildings that are built by the Vishwakarma itself, you know, like he has infused and incorporated the precious gems to adorn those buildings. So Lanka is descriptive. Lanka's descriptive is all about luxury and beauty. So I could bring that element and narrative on the dancers here, and they are very much decorative in form, and to have the gems, stones, you know, like in their, you know, plait, they have this different attachment that could reflect that how Ravana court is very wealthy and how the kingdom is very wealthy to do. Next, we are going into fire dance. So this fire dance happened during the burning of Lanka. So here I have challenged to create this fire dance and dance costume. So how a flame would dance, you know, like it's when we see a flame itself a movement, but with that movement, how a costume can accompany to enhance that movement. So I've created these bits and pieces very much, you know, like using the method of Indian style, but the upper body part, you know, like having little different cut of the blouses, and those are patchworks to enhance the flames effect. And the colors are predominantly, you know, like reflect on the flame idea of orange, red, and yellow. So the dancers are in a full bodysuit, having these attachments where the flurry things, you know, like going around them as they move and as they jump.
Rian, I'm going to interrupt you and say this was a beautiful scene. And now that you're saying how you envisioned it, it truly beautifully comes alive. The way the fire scene has been envisaged and the way the costume has been used. I just wanted to, you know, sort of acknowledge that here.
Thank you. Thank you. So next is the army of King Ravana. So Ravana's court. So their costume is inspired by the set design. And you could see the motif that being used on the backdrop of the Ravana's court. It's kind of a demon, very demon evil kind of a face. So I take that inspiration to create this design on these soldiers' dress. So it's predominantly red and dark blue, and they were used. Those costumes were used in velvet cloth and raw silk, and on the material, and there are lots of patchwork and thread work has been, you know, like put together. So these hip belt is specifically designed for the soldiers to have more movement when they have the fight with Hanuman. And in terms of when we talk about dancers, and sometimes we are not very fortunate to have like evenly produced dancers. Sometimes the dancers, you might get short ones, sometimes you might get the taller in the group. So it's about how you bring an ensemble together. So this is something that I've learned with the costuming. So bring a similar costume, or maybe the design that can like look same as in not as uniform in the costume, but also in the way they represent on stage in terms of their height. And you would think it must have been so heavy. It was not heavy at all. The materials that I've used are very lightweight. Either it could be thread, it could be a rope like a thread, and it could be a rubber which the carving comes on it. So it's all about lightness on the dancer's body, because ultimately they have to perform even though they are characters. This is one of the most remarkable costume design that I've ever done. Tree. Here the trees represents the empathy towards Rama while he is in exile. So this costume has gone into many trials, and finally it turned to be like this. This is two bodysuit have been stitched together, and it inverted, and it aesthetically toned. So this is not stitched, the entire body is stitched, but after stitched two bodysuits together, and it's reverted and then aesthetically. So you would see that little wings, the Alam Viladu kind of effect on the costume. It's aesthetically toned and cut. And the next is the bird costume. So you would see the Javanese style of material with an Indian silk material. I didn't use silk because silk is very expensive. There are material you can find to very much similar look of the expensive silk that you may buy. So those materials which give the silk look are very much cheaper that you can get on the shops in the market. So these are the bird's costume, and I couldn't find any close-up picture of the bird. This is the like the very decent picture that I could find to show the bird. So, and even the basque is, the backsheet is designed in such a way to have the bird element in it.
Wow.
And the pant, you see the Javanese style of material merging together with the Indian styles of sun pleat pant. That sun pleat represents the feathers in their costume. So you would see below in the pant, you'll see the Javanese style of material infusing, merging with the sun pleat pant above. That to have a very bird look to the audience. Now I'll come to character's costume. So this is our hero of Anjaneyam, Hanuman. So Haripadman has been, like performing. He has been performing Ramayana for many years now in Kalakshetra under the Rukmani Amma's production. So he's already personified Hanuman. Already people have seen it. So since we have casted him again in this production as an Hanuman, I was challenged to give entirely a different outlook to his character, even though he's playing the same role. So here he has a Javanese style head crown, and he has a very lightweight of the costume, the below part, and also he has the batik motif that have been included in this costume. That yellow and black triangles are taken from the batik that are predominantly, that specifically used for Hanuman in Java. And why I had this centerpiece of hanging, it's inspired from a Kandyan dance. because of Hanuman's movement, he will be having so much of leaps, jumping. So this ball's effect will enhance his movement. So I adopted this piece of jewelry and I modified it to fit his character.
Yeah, actually, this is one of the most beautiful costumes for me, Priyan, because I thought it was just such a fantastic coming together of like it's so aesthetic, but it's also so dynamic in the way,
Yeah.
like the way you use the, those little inspired by the Canadian dance, the just and lending to it a sense of movement, right? Because that's the
Yeah.
one thing I associate with the character, constantly in movement, swinging, swaying,
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
fantastic, the choice of colors and just that accents that have come out fantastic, really.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So next we'll see the Hanumans. We had 4 stages of Hanuman. We had a Kuti Hanuman who played the toddler part, and unfortunately I couldn't get his picture. These are the Atul. He played the second stage of Hanuman, and Haripadman third stage, and Balagopasa the wise Hanuman. So even in the face painting, we gradually showed the growth of Hanuman. So when you see Atul's face, it's very much less. You can see from the tilakam. The tilakam is very tender looking. And when we look at Haripadman's tilakam, it's little more strong, little more serious. And when we look at Balagoparsa's tilakam, it's almost like gives the moksha. And this is what Haripadman represents as a Hanuman back in Kalakshetra for Rukmani Devi's productions, and his total transformation with the Javanese infusions in Anjaneyam. These are the 4 different stages of Hanuman. And from the costume itself, like it evolves from toddler to wise Hanuman. And you will see the toddler one will have very minimalistic costume. As he grows, the costume also grows within him. This is the Java Hanuman, and the Hanuman costume is inspired by the Java Hanuman. So you would see the triangles, black and white triangles on the Hanuman's, on the right side, on the Hanuman's hanging part in the center. This is Rama and Hanuman in Anjaneyam. So I've also very much mindful about the colors. For me, it's not about going to different colors. Oh, I have used this color, so I should not repeat this for another character. No, for me, the take is different. How can I connect from one character to another character through the color is what my key vision was. So I always find a link of a color that can relate to all the characters. So from Hanuman, you will see the yellow shade coming to Rama. So that there's some sort of blending, there's some sort of relations.
Yeah, actually that was one of my questions for you, Priyan, about there is a certain underlying unifying thread that runs through in terms of the colors that you used across the characters, including the Gandharvas and the Apsaras. So it's like there's one refrain, so to speak.
So I can't mainly take a sari and cut that and made into a costume. So every part of the costume easily like taken from 4 or 5 different materials. Even the small borders that you see, it's attached. So no material come like that. So everything has been developed on top of another. So it's about layering, how you give the character in the costume for that particular character. So you will see Rama and Lakshmana. The batik prints are predominantly used by the divine characters, and especially Rama and Lakshmana. So I have adopted that to create this effect for Rama and Lakshmana. And this is Sita for you, while she was captivated in Lanka in Ravana's captivation. So this Sita's costume, I think it's very much. Can you tell me Akhila, so while I'm talking, so I would like to have a little interaction. Can you tell me, do you see or recognize any Javanese element in it? Even though the costume, this costume would have seen it on stage also, like not very much similar to this, but a representation of it or a style of this. But would you see any different ethnicity coming in?
I think I think the horizontal cut in the blouse design, I think that is something I have seen in a Javanese Sita costume.
Yeah. Yes. So very much that cutting the tube that they place in the upper garment is the key. So I've adopted that, and the borders that you see is taken from a Javanese.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the borders that they have a batik like. I don't know if you've used that. The borders.
Yeah, I have a batik. I can't zoom it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
On the blouse, you will see a batik.
Yeah.
Effect on the
right side.
Yeah, and also in the hand. And sometimes Sita is personified as a very grounded person, and she comes from the Mother Earth. So I use the earthy colors on her, but I didn't want to put too much of batik on her because it will take away the divinity feel of from her. So I didn't use much of the batik part, but rather I remained with a very earthy silk material, infusing.
But also very minimalist, Priyan, very earthy minimalist, you know. This especially very, very grounded and rooted with nature, and you know, that's the kind of
So I have given her the pearls because Hanuman talks about the great gems that you could find in Lanka. So I was given her pearls. So this is the Rama and Sita in Javanese style dance dramas, and this Rama and Sita you see is the adaptation from them, and they are seen on the 4 meters platform at the back side of the stage. So where when Sita was recalling her memory back. This was her mistake, asking for that deer. That's why she's captivated. So she's recalling her memory and telling all the flashback stories to Hanuman. So while she was telling the story, the story was actually enacted by the dancers at the backside of the stage. So the Sita was Javanese dancers herself. Her costume is very much Indian and Java together. And here Ravana, this is Ravana's batik motif, and the black red is kind of, you know, like give a grand look and give a strong look. So I've chosen this, and even the chest piece and all that have been designed taking the inspiration from the wall wooden carving of Indonesia.
Okay. Priyan, could you talk about, you know, is that a print that you see the white motifs on the, is that a print?
Yeah, it is a batik print. So the batik print for Ravana. So it comes as white, red and black. So these are the color combination they use to create for Ravana's material in Java.
Java, okay, beautiful.
So you'll see Ravana with his armies.
Sorry, Aravinth?
Yeah, so what's happening here is that you can see that motif that you asked about is a S-shaped continuous prints of S, like an S, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so that is how, that is the motif the Ravana's costumes batik is used in Javanese Ramayana. If you look at the Hanuman, it was the triangles, the black triangles on the yellow. Sita, when she's in Ashoka in Lanka, she has like little flower motif. When she's in Mithila, she has a different motif. When she marries and goes to Ayodhya, she has another motif. So the batik print and the color changes for the characters. So what Priyan has done is taken that batik motifs Instead of stitching it, the full thing in a batik material, the motifs have been brought into the costume.
Beautiful. Very, very thoughtful. Yeah. Thanks.
And I would, this is, even though the Veena, Rudra Veena that he holds, it's an object, or we probably call it prop, but I would call it a jewelry of art.
Fantastic.
Because this is handmade of Rudra Veena. It's not a real Rudra Veena, it's a prop. I will call it jewelry of art. And the design that you see on the Veena itself has got this Javanese floral effect.
Okay.
And this is Anjana, Hanuman's mother. Anjana is believed to be one of the Apsara from heaven. So I've created this costume for her, and her crown is very much represents the Javanese style. And this is two-piece costume. You would see many layers, but it has done with two piece. So this upper body garment is one piece, and the lower body garment is one piece. And the material, I found this material in India. This is very much similar looking for the very similar looking of Javanese material. This is the Jatayu representation in Javanese dance drama. So I adopted some of these motifs to my creation. So I think I started working on Jatayu costume the first because it took me a long journey, because I've seen lots of Jatayu costumes, and I wanted to create something, like very, very danceable and also magnificent. So for me, when I look at Jatayu, he's more represented as a divine being and also the king of birds. So how I would bring that element in just costume. So probably the materials that I've used, I think minimally from 4 or 5 different shops, if I remember it very well. And each part of the costume, I mean the material taken from different shops. It's not purchased in one shop.
Priya, I also noticed that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I also noticed this constant interplay of colors and layering of colors also, I see how you beautifully, like, the maroon merges with the orange merges with the yellow, across costumes, I kind of see that there is a certain layering of colors that's also happening.
Yes. That is one of the key vision I had for my costumes, like I even though like I wanted to have each costume their own character, but I want them to gel in the family of the production or family of the characters.
Okay. Beautiful.
So the headpiece is a crown. Later we'll come to that, and the hip belt is actually Garuda. So this Garuda taken from Indonesia. Indonesia, you will see lots of Garuda representations. So this is taken from one carving in temple. And this is Valmiki played. The character was played by none other than our legendary dancer Dhanajan sir. And you would see his headgear, talapagai, with the Javanese batik. And I used Java batik with a touch of tussar material to give a very poetic and serene look. His Aahaaryam is very minimal, but has got also a touch of Javanese.
Yeah, very understated and very powerful yet.
Yeah. So this is King Dasharatha's queens. So I've taken the inspiration from the Sigiriya paintings.
Okay.
So that's how the headgears appears to be like very elaborated and very beautiful.
Right.
And again, their materials are inspired by Javanese materials. And this is Indrajit and Gandharvas as clouds. So I've created a Gandharvas. Here the Gandharvas dance as cloud. So I've created this costume with very light and very flowy kind of material. And as the choreography goes, very, very, like very flowy movement as they represent a cloud. So this is Indrajit, and his crown also elaborated and all carved on the rubber. And these are the sea monsters who try to provoke Hanuman from crossing the ocean. And these materials used here in this costume from Java mainly. And each part of their costume represents some characteristic of the sea being. So when you look at the sea monster hand, you will see the fish skin type of blue, and the body is like very bluish, violetish, purplish kind of feel. And then you'll see the piece that hanging represent almost, you will see the beautiful fishes in the sea, right? You may not you may not see those colors in real life, but you will see the magnificent beauty under the sea. So I try to bring those elements on their costume. This is Maricha. Even though he's golden deer, he's a tricked one. He's a demon uncle of Lord King Ravana. So I use black and gold.
Yeah.
Headgears and crowns. This is Hanuman's headgear, very much Javanese style. And his jewelry has got Namam to represent Lord Rama himself.
Okay.
This is Ravana. So this representation of this headgear, you would see what is this little amalgamation coming on his head. This actually represents 10 heads in the crown. To have shown this way, I've taken it from, I've designed such a way to have the deck of the heads, taken the inspiration from Cambodia.
Okay, it's like multiplicity of heads, right? Like,
yeah, you'll see the 10 heads,
yeah,
including his face.
Yeah.
And the design of the crown is, it's again the wood carvings of Java. And this is the crown, this is the traditional crown they use. So he used this crown while he was having interaction with Sita in Ashokavatika. And here Rama and Lakshmana, this is the crown they used during the exile. So it's very much very sage kind of feel, even though like there's representation of a Javanese ornamentation comes, but it represents the very, very Munivar kind of effect, because they were in exile in the forest. Indrajit. Indrajit is supposed to be very powerful. There's a fight scene, you would have seen it. So to create just not only create the power of him, not only through dance, I always wanted to create through this headgear so that it looks gladding and glazing. And this is Jatayu's headgear. And you'll see the chest piece. I've fortunate to found a material which has got a very bird kind of feel to it. It's there are multiple thread weave that material, gold, shimmery gold, black, brown, but it's ultimately a very beautiful material. And this is Vayu Bhavan. This is Maricha's headgear. The ornamentation of the Maricha on the headgear, you will see the representation of the evil face. If you notice it very carefully, on top of the head, there's an evil face in the center. That to represent that Maricha is a tricked one, and he's an evil uncle of King Ravana. And this is something we used for the monkey armies. inspired by Lion King, but this is during the stage dress rehearsal. But I didn't have a good picture, close-up picture of the monkey armies taken on the actual show. So from this, we have developed it further to have different feel for the headgear. This is Dasharatha and Queen. I always love the outlook or maybe the illustrations of King Rajaraja Chola. So I've taken his crown to fit Dasaratha. And this is the representation of a group, how the vibrant colors come together, sharing their own character, and also they also share the relationships of character among their costumes, so that it looked as a product or a package. You can't differentiate the oddness.
Yeah.
You see as a wholesome.
Yeah.
So this picture is where he takes Rama and Lakshmana to Sugriva, and Apsaras are accompanying them.
Go with him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Priyan. That was just absolutely fascinating. I have like so many questions to ask you, but before that, we are going to try to play that video in the hope that it will play one last time, and then we will hand over the screen to Aravinth to talk about the set design. Do you want to introduce?
Yes. Firstly, what a beautiful presentation we saw on the costume, because somewhere I think we all tend to ignore the importance of costume. And I mean, as solo artists, a lot of dancers say, okay, I wore that costume the last time, so maybe I'll not repeat the color, so I'll just go ahead with that. But to know the insights of the importance of costume, that was really, really great. And something that complements costume equally in a dance production is set design. And especially in a dramatic dance production, I think it's very important, because the ambience we create on the stage is what will transport the audience to the place of action itself. So I would like Aravinth sir to take over and share his process of working on the set design for Anjaneyam.
Thank you so much. So actually, it's a very epic story, right? And it has many, I would call many situation places. And it travels from North India to all the way to Lanka. So geographically, things are changing. And I think, and many of you will know that Valmiki in his Ramayana even talks about the flora and fauna that Rama and Lakshmana see as they travel through, so much detail is there. And then, as you heard from Priyan, Kambar talks about Lanka in so much detail in Sundarakandam. So one can't, ignore the fact that that is important as a setting for the story to unfold. So by choosing this story, we have no choice, but we have to actually create the setting, because if not, it will be, it not do justice to the literary work that we are relying on. That's one challenge. Second challenge is the music composer. So we've been working with Rajkumar sir, and Rajkumar sir poses you a huge challenge, because the music is so rich, it's so layered and so grand. And then if you have, just imagine the Apsaras come in a regular sari costume, Bharatanatyam costume with the normal Talasaman, and they come and dance, and you hear the Ravana court music, you will suddenly realize that the visual and the audio have no connection. So working with a genius composer like him, you're also then pushed to bring the visual also to that equal, because in choreography you can deal with the movements of the music, but the end of the day the visual hits the audience first. So I think these two have made this production challenging to create. So let me, my presentation is not so long. So let me quickly share my screen, and then I will go through with you the. Hope you can see my screen. Yeah. Okay. So this is the scene you would have seen the Hanuman Chalisa being performed, because the Gandharvas and Apsaras are performing. So it's very heavenly, very cloudy thing. So before I go further in the set design, I think the credit of the set design actually goes to Gyan Dev, who actually did the lighting and the set design, and went into greater detail into actually working on it. So he's somebody who looks at the narrative. So we started to work with him when we did the production Agadi, and I have not worked with him. I've only seen him light up Spanda and Leela Samson and Malavika Sarkai and of course Aditi Mangaldas and Kumudri Lakia, but never worked with him. So I said, can we work with you? And his first response was, can you send me the lyrics and the script? Which bowled me over, because no light designer has ever asked me for lyrics and script. So here we have somebody who actually looks at the narrative and tries to see how the lighting and set can come in. So a lot of inputs have gone in, and he actually came up with the overall architecture of the set design, and the detailing was then worked out in separately. So this is the Dasaratha's palace, as you can see here. Now what we did was we actually were looking at how to project them, their 3D animation projections. As you know, LED walls will reflect back, and they will light up the whole stage, and it actually will give a very glaring experience to the audience. And then you actually don't even see the dancers, because the LED wall has taken over its presence, and then any lighting you do on top of it is meaningless, because the LED wall is so bright you can't even have a blackout. So Gyan decided to use jute cloth. So what you see in the sets, everything's a jute material that was sourced in Delhi and sewn in Delhi and sent to Esplanade Dimensions. But the jute cloth gives you a beautiful experience, because it absorbs colors. So it will actually take the projector, which is an electronic medium, a digital medium, and it will then soften it and make it as if it is being hand painted on those jute cloth, right? And fabric painting and set is been our Indian tradition of arts. So if you remember old Manohar's dramas to old dance dramas, you go to Kalakshetra, you see Rukmini Devi's Ramayana, fabric is used very much in creating the sets and So that is a philosophy that went behind this, using the fabric. Then of course, when you want to project something on the fabric, what would you choose as the design style? What type of visual art medium you choose? Is it there are different types of painting, and even in the world, you have the European style, you have the Indian style, you have the Chinese style, you have the brushstroke style. In India, you have various Kalamkari, Patachitra, Kerala murals. So since it's a fabric, going to be based on fabric, we decided to choose a fabric-based pattern, which is block print. So block print, so every set here you will see is actually a block print design, handmade, and then being projected. So this is the Dasaratha's palace. If I show you a close-up, you can see the block print. So you can see the, I've zoomed in now, you can see how is following the block print style of rendering. And now we look at the Dasara's palace exterior. So this is how it looks when the palace are dancing. Then we go and zoom in and see, you can see the element of block print coming in to achieve the scene. Yeah? So this is the Dasarada scene, and you would have seen earlier the costumes and the color scheme all have to go together because one can't overtake. So it is organically developed and all developed hand in hand, and one has to remember what's the choreography happening at this set, and what is the music that Rajkumar has actually created, and how will it complement. So there's a beautiful Boob Kalyan that he has used for this scene, which is Mona Kalyani, and it has its own feel. And in our Indian aesthetics, raga means color as well, right? So we have to see how to bring in this. So this has been gone through. Now this is the Hanuman's garden where he tries to play all his pranks, tries to catch the sun and eat it. So if you go closely, you can see even the waves of the water are block print adaptation. And this is how the scene has been created. Now this was one very challenging scene, which is the Lanka skyline. And because in the 3D animation, we were trying to show that Hanuman is leaping across the skyline of Lanka from place to place as he's watching, because that's what the text says. So Kambaramanam says, here he looked into this palace, he saw this, there he saw music, he heard musicians performing, he saw dancers dancing. Then he went somewhere else, he saw the heavenly Apsaras being handmaidens of the Rakshasis. So, these Rakshasis must have done years and years of penance to be born in this way, so they can have, the heavenly maidens as their, attendants. So all that has to be shown. So of course, in the stage, we can't have Haripadman literally jumping from place to place. So the 3D animation, the set moves. The set moves as if giving the impression that Hanuman has been jumping and is moving. So his movement is minimal, but the set will move to show. So this again has to be seen in a very large place, and then you will see moving. So if I zoom into one particular place, now this could be one of the palaces that now Hanuman is looking at and is describing, right? And then again, the visualization of it, Hanuman says that, not Hanuman, Kambar says that Hanuman says that actually, he says that, are these towers made of gold? Or did Vishwakarma come and take sun rays and paint them with sun rays? And how did Vishwakarma embed it with so many gems and precious stones? Why are they glittering? So all this description had to come in the set. But of course, you literally make it glittering, it will again overpower, it will take away the dancers, then you have a shiny set. So we can't do that as well. So you have to achieve it in a different way. So this is what you see. Then the 3D animation had to help us. Now, how do you set this palace on fire? If you see the fire dance, you have seen it. So then you can see now the palace is on fire. So it's a 3D animation that comes on, the flames come on top of it. So this is where we use technology to come in very aesthetically. And of course, they should not take away the hard work and the performance element of the dancers. At the end of the day, this is a dance theater performance. It's a dance show. It's not a set show. It's not a projection show, right? So we have to make sure the dancers are not, overtaken by the set. They have to complement. Yeah. So this is how we achieve the fire scene. This is the scene of Ashok Vatika. Again, you can see it is a very gloomy look, kind of, because Sita is in a gloomy mood, and she obviously didn't have any appreciation for anything she saw, And Ashoka, that's a plain words. It's a Soka Vanam. It's a Soka Vanam, but it's a Soka Vanam because she is in sorrow. So the colors had to come in that way. And of course, you see the detailing, you can see again the block print style of coming. But then when you project this, it can't be so overpowering again because it's again Ashoka Vanam. So now you can see how the jute cloth has helped us to bring it down, tone it down. To tone it down, to make it not overpowering, but yet the trees are seen, yet the tower is seen, but then you don't get Sita lost in that forest. She's still there, and you can see her, Apsaras dancing around her. So this is again, the clever way of how the set was used. Of course, now this is the scene that we have the flashback. So in the Javanese Ramayana, it's not in the Valmiki, Kambar or Tulsidas. In Javanese Ramayana, when Hanuman meets Sita, Sita recollects back two of her past episodes to prove a point, because Hanuman meets her when she's about to end her life. So she had enough, and she takes the plait and she wants to try, basically hang herself from a tree. So she's deciding to end her life. So to prove to in the dialogue, she actually tells Hanuman, "There's no hope for me. Good that you have come, but you are a small little monkey, and how nobody's going to say, because Maricha tricked me, and Rama couldn't even destroy Maricha. He couldn't. He went after, and then I was kidnapped. Then came the great mighty Jatayu, who's a friend of Dasaratha, the king of birds. He also couldn't save me. So now who's going to save me? There's no hope. So that's why I'm in this state." So for that to reflect back, so in this particular scene, we use the inverse coloring. So you see that it is setting as if it is an illusion. The whole Maricha is an illusion. It was not real. The golden deer is not real. The scene is not real, and she's trying to recollect back a scene that was illusionary. So you see it in inverse light, as in ultraviolet lights are coming, but it's not ultraviolet lighting. It's a set has been created that way. It's a jute cloth that is now projecting this. Then when you place the characters on it, they are real. So you see Rama's real, Sita's real, but can you see Maricha there, the deer there in silver? He's not real. So we are trying to bring back the aspect of the literally value of how the Ramayanas are telling, and try to bring it visually here. So you can see the characters are real, the setting is so unreal, so illusionary, and she recollects back this in a much more clarity now. Now she knows why it all happened. So this is how we achieved the set for this. And finally, of course, the Ravana's court. So Ravana's court has to be grand. And as you heard from Priyan, the costumes had to be grand, because Kambar puts so much of emphasis of luxury there, and so much of grandness there. And so we had to create this set as so grand. So there are 8 jute panels which are hanging as 8 pillars, and each pillars have a niche carved, and each of the dancer will actually go into the niche and come out. But you can see, because it is painted that way, you see it as if it's a niche, but actually they're flat surfaces, but they've been made to look at as niche. You have the emblem of the Veena on top, because you would have heard the famous 1960s song, Veenai Kodiyudaya Vendane. So Lanka was the only country in the world which had a musical instrument as emblem. So Ravana's emblem was a Veena. Okay, so here we have the emblem, the official, insignia of the country, and then of course when you see the dancers down there, they are inside there. So you can see the colors right now. It's very bright here. It's very bright here when it's first created, but when it's actually go there, it doesn't overpower because of the material, the surface, and how the lighting comes. So you can see the characters standing. You can see, of course, this is a very wide-angle shot, but you can see even there, they're not lost. Even the Ravana and everybody's seen here. So finally, I'll show you the battle scene. So the battle scene, again, based on the description of Kambar and Valmiki. And of course, animation, you'll see the flags moving. You will see in Ashok Vatika, you will see as Sita and Hanuman converse, leaves are dropping off, leaves are falling. Wind, breeze will come through. You can see the leaves are moving a little bit. So it's very close to real life. So they're not flat paintings or flat LED projections. So this is how Gyan envisaged for us, working with us. So end of the day, whether the set design is actually a confluence. It's a confluence of everything that we want to show, because it takes a lion's share of the visual, right? But then it should not be the only visual, right? So it has to be worked out that way. So I think, that's what I wanted to share on the set design. I don't know if the video is working, whether can we see Hanuman's Vishwarupa, because that shows how the 3D projection interacted with the characters.
Yeah.
Oh, I must stop sharing, is it? Sorry. Sorry. So what you saw there is actually animation that shows the Anjaneyam grow at the back. And of course, we made it a little more interesting. We showed a Panchamuka Anjaneya there. So if you look closely, you see 5 faces of Anjaneya coming out. And this animation had to be done by first videoing a dancer, taking the gada and putting on the shoulder. And then on that start to paint and start to create the animation. So, so it's actually a very integrated work. So we put that together, and then after that, Haripadman choreography as to make sure that it works with the thing. And then we don't have to forget the lyrics, because what he says that Kambar says in that verse that you just heard, that he is so tall, he is also towering to the clouds, but he's bent in Anjali to Sita. So the tall figure is bending because he's not arrogantly standing. He's bent. Valenda Murthiyan, he says. So that had to be brought into the set as.
Firstly, Aravinth, thank you so much for a very, for some fascinating insights. And Priyan, thank you so much. I just only wish, actually, there are 2-3 points I want to make. I only wish that we had done this session last week before we started, people started watching Anjaneyam, because I definitely think that now I've heard all this, I feel like I have to see it again to be able to appreciate these finer nuances, because sometimes, you watch it, but you're not able to pay attention to every aspect. So firstly, congratulations on such a beautiful production. The other thing is, I'm really also amazed at how at what the kind of detailing that has gone into also capturing process. Like how I noticed that you both, you have the exact, you've chronicled the process. And I firstly want to start off this conversation by asking you about the importance of documenting processes like these for productions like these that become in some way also, opportunities for, Rasikas and students of dance and dancers to actually revisit and understand, process, because we often just watch productions and then we move on, right? And we never actually take the time to revisit. But a production like this that has a long life and is going to travel the world must also be deconstructed so people understand and appreciate the nuances and the processes. So Aravinth, I'd like for you to start off by talking to us about the importance of documenting process and the kind of efforts that have gone into, detailing it?
Yeah, okay. So I think before I answer that, let me tell you some good news. So the ticket that you buy, the even a $0 ticket, allows you to go multiple times back to watch it. You don't have to buy a ticket again. So Akhila, you can go and watch till Sunday evening, how many number of times, and you can forward the cursor back. You can rewind forward. You can do anything you like. It's like your own player. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so the process is actually very important, and it's not something that we knew it for all. We learned it through the mistakes that we make of not documenting, and I think I would say that many of our works, I wish they were documented too, right? But this one, yes, had gone into a lot of documentation because it is a multi-party, multi-creative team working together. So it's not like one person is choreographing. So we had a team of, everything had a team of people. So even choreographers, while Priyan did most of the ensemble work, we had Haripadman working on his own portions. We had Dhananjan and Anna and Balagopal sir on their own, working on their own portion. Then the Javanis were working on their own portion. Lavanya worked her solos out. And then, of course, Jayanti, Jayanti Akka came from Chennai, and she did certain of the scenes. So it had to be documented so that we can have a handover and then do that. So I think that's something that we learned over a period of time, making the mistakes. But this project has a backstory. For the first time, we actually were able to open our doors and allow in university students, a batch of 25 students from Bangalore. Christ University actually came all the way to Singapore, spent a month with us, watching everything, and they were also helping us in the archival. So they actually produced a book on the making of Anjaneyam. They actually did a film. They did interviews. They did sound bites. They did so in a way they helped us to think further. So these unit students were attached to with us a light. They were attached to the choreography. They were attached to the various faculties of Anjaneyam, and they were shadowing and documenting. Of course, they only were there for the first run, for the first rehearsal. They couldn't come back for the actual. So that actually gave us a leap forward in doing that. And I think it's a great opportunity. And many of the people who are creating productions must think of this, of involving students who can come in. And they were not dancers. They came from various faculties. Yeah, they came from various faculties. So that really helped us also to share the experience and include them, and they get to watch it. They get to learn from this, and hopefully they'll be able to be useful later in their career when they go off to work with another artistic team. So I think this was a backstory of our documentation. But obviously, we have to do our work first, right? So Priyan has to draw the sketches. I mean, the students can't draw it for him. So those have to be done. But then, it was a collaborative work.
Right. Priyan, I'm going to ask you about your fascination with, costuming itself. Have you been doing this for long? And this is really quite a large production, and the kind of detailing that has gone into it is pretty intricate, So talk to us about your personal interest and journey with this, with costume design itself.
First, I would like to say that I'm a very, very visual person. So I see something through my eyes. I also notice the very, very intricate and nuances. So that comes to my costuming. Even take a simple cloth that I'm buying, I will see what is uniqueness in that, rather than just to see as a cloth. So right. that detailing that I normally give it to, even for a normal dress.
Yeah.
But when I was working, when I was studying in India in a college, so we were challenged to do lots of shows, lots of dance dramas. So I used to create costumes with my college team. So those days we were students, so we have to be very, very economical in using the material, but to have very unique designs. So that's how I learned how to choose materials and how you blend materials together to create a package. So that's how I invented my interest in doing costume while I was studying in India. So after I came to Apsara's Arts, I think almost the first bigger production that they ever done after my visit to Apsara's was Angkor Wat. but I was mainly observing the production, the creativity part, as I was one of the choreographer and I was very much dancing in the ensemble. But and then later, Anyasa talks about the Buddhist monuments of Asia, the performance that we presented at the Krishna Gana Sabha. Take Agadi, Alapadma. So all this production thematically conceptualized. So even for the theme, there are lots of research going. So when I hear those themes, when I read about them, I kind of visual in my mind how the outlook of a dancer is supposed to be. Even in terms of choreography, I visualize myself before I translate that into a body movement. So always I visualize. So when I visualize, I get this really fascinating ideas of how this can be done. Rather than just to reflect as a costume or piece of cloth, I always find a character in it. I'm very much into that.
Lovely, beautiful. How long did it take you, Priyan, this entire process of costume design?
I think it took almost 1 year, if I say it right. Yes, it's almost 1 year, and I've worked for this costume in 3 different parts. I think we bought materials from Java. Then I had to do some visit, and I have to contact some Java dancers to get the materials delivered. And then obviously talking about Chennai, getting this costume sewn, I had a challenge because not every tailor would take up such intricate work. Rather, just doing one Jatayu costume for 1 week, they would have sewn a simple Bharatanatyam costume, 100 costumes. So it's about the worth of money for their hour is very much considered. But I am very fortunate to found 2-3 tailors who really worked for their passion, and they welcome all these new ideas, and that fascinated me. So with them I created all this costume. That's why it took a longer time. And some of the most of the jewelries, crowns made from Sri Lanka. So I sketched the design of the crown, and later it has been translated into a material. So we don't want to have the materials, heavy materials like I even had the bad experience of having those heavy crowns, and you ended up concentrating more on that whether it's going to fall down or you compromise on dancing. So I just want to keep it very light and very friendly for the dancer's body. So I did that jewelries all out of rubber. Most of them are out of rubber, carving on the rubber. So it's done in Sri Lanka. Yeah, so
yeah, Arvind, just before we went live, you were talking to us about how I was asking you about how this whole thing happened, right? Did dancers come and actually spend time in Singapore? And then you talked to me about the idea of this puzzle, and you said that how you were at the center of like different parts of the puzzle, and then finally like the puzzle kind of came together. So I want to ask you, Arvind, that as far as the set design is concerned, we spoke about how Gyandev was keen on first listening to the music. So I'm curious about what part of the puzzle came first. Did the music come first, and then did everything else evolve? And so was the music in some way central to the...
No, so actually how we work now is that we evolve all the faculties at the same time. That's why we can end up with the result that they are a confluence. Yeah? Because earlier we used to work the usual Bharatanatyam way, where you get a composer and get the music tuned and then recorded, and then you come and figure out how to choreograph it, how to but then that has its limitations as well. So it is done. So what happens is, Rajkumar says, we work on a pilot kind of tracks of music, and but before that we should know visually what the choreography is going to look like, what is the vocabulary of the dance that we use. We may not know the exact step, but we should be able to know that is it going to be a rhythmic piece, is the jati going to come here, or is it going to be a Aalaap that's going to accompany the moment. So that level of understanding you should have. And then Rajkumar sir, being a genius himself, will be able to then put that into an audio feel of what we are visually trying to say. And working with him is also interesting because he would then also inspire you back, saying, you know what, why don't we do it like this? And then, oh, that opens another door of opportunity. So that's why, it's a give and take happening. While that's happening, we also have the choreography happening parallelly. We come back to the drawing table. We want something different in the music. So it's going up and down. So until the premiere show, the curtain goes up, this is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process.
Add to that, Aravinth Anna, I had recordings of Anjaneyam. Like it's over the time, it's evolved. Like they will layer it. So I had a recording December, recording March, recording June. So we have also multiple layering of music, because eventually when they record it, when we actually bring that piece of music to the actual studio to work with the dancers, we also sometimes figure out, like this element can be added more, and this part of the music can be, like extended more. So that also drags into the period of time of making this production. So it goes front and forth and back to,
right,
like finally create this product.
I mean, that's what I was going to ask you. Sorry, Aravinth, please go ahead.
No, Akhila, so I see, that we are very old school in the music. Instead, we do it live, which is a crazy thing to do in terms of cost and logistics. But then this is where till the premiere curtain goes up, you can change. You can watch your premiere and next day's show, you can do a fine tuning because the musicians are there for you. So it's not, it's not a CD that's playing, So that is why the live music element is really helpful. And of course, working with Sai Shravanam, he layers. So he has layered things on top of it, and he can do a Manodharma layering while he's watching the rehearsal. So while we are doing tech runs, he will have ideas how the music can be then further layered. So it's all, happening at the same time, so that the end result comes as, Anjaneyam, and not this, that, plus this.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about the thing about visualizing is, right, sometimes it's in your head, but like when you actually translate it on paper, it doesn't actually, you're not able to actually, it doesn't actually look like what you've thought of in your head. So until like, like even with costume and with set design as well, Aravinth, were there instances where you thought of something and you thought it may work, but actually in its unfolding, it did not?
Plenty times, because translating thoughts into something that can kind of output is always a challenge. Sometimes your thoughts may have worked in your head, but practically it could flop. It can fail. It might not give the effect, or practically it might not work. Right? For example, I mean, we wanted the Apsaras Gandharvas to float up in the sky and come down. I mean, it's all nice in the head. But practically on the stage, how do they do? Because we actually wanted, I mean, our original vision for Jatayu's fight was Jatayu actually will come flying through the stage, and then we realized that we need a harness for him. We need to put him on put Priyan on the harness. Then we need to make sure that he's stable. But then after he flies, how can he fight with Ravana? He has to come down and he has to dance. He can't just scatter around in the sky, right? So things like that, when you try to go into production or try to work on it, it won't work. But I think the visualization is also a dreaming of these things for a long time. You can't just say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do Anjaneyam, let me now visualize. No, it doesn't happen. So the Ravana's court scene, I think from a time as a teenager, I've been thinking one day we will do a show. One day I will have the pillars. One day there will be dancers dancing in his court. But it had to come at that time. So, the gestation period is very long.
Yeah, absolutely. Aravinth, I'm going to ask you a question that someone in the audience would like to know. Why did they choose not to use the saffron color scheme for the Vanavasam scenes?
So the saffron color scheme is actually the Indian representation. So the Javanese colors were used. Priyan used is from the Javanese Ramayana. So maybe Priyan, you want to add some more for that earthy color and the green color and the batiks?
Yeah, so I tried to, first I thought of using the saffron color, and then I looked at the Javanese representation of Rama and Lakshmana, and they were not very much personified as a very, saffron kind of look. and they were also given very vibrant. But I didn't go to too much on vibrant colors, but I've tried to choose the type of green. I don't know how to say it, that texture of green. So that green and that kind of a shade, it's not yellow, it's not orange, but somewhere in between. So those both colors very much complemented on the batik motifs, and most of the time, like they interacted with the trees, and they are with Hanuman. So looked at the other characters and other objects colors, and sometimes I had to be mindful about the set color combination that's I illustrated. So I have to keep all that in mind to choose the color. So green is something I can pick because like he's in the forest, and that the color could complement wherever the set that he goes. So that's how I chose those two colors rather than just a saffron. That is the already experienced outlook. I want to give them a different perspective to Rama and Lakshmana's costume. So that's why I choose these different colors.
Right.
And also, Akhila, one more thing, we will also want to be not make a wrong political statement, because we didn't want to show Lanka, Asuras, Ravanas, Trijadas. They are the Javanese, and all the other characters like Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana, all Indian. So it is a confluence of both. So Rama had to be dressed with Indonesian elements. So as Hanuman. So so that we don't give a wrong wrong view that, oh, that's a Rakshasa country and this is the the other country. So that was mindful.
That kind of you were sensitive to that. There's a question on how important is it for a set designer to understand the language of Bharatanatyam?
I think it's very important, but you should. I think in my experience, you should know enough and not too much. Okay, because so that he he or she will bring new things to the table. And in our case, why we have good experience with Gyan, because he doesn't only do dance, he does theater, he does many other things. So he brings a wealth of knowledge that he's learning every day when he does different work. And he does Bharatanatyam, Odissi, Kathak, and contemporary dance. So you can see. So we actually probably would be inheriting some of these experiences that it's just rolling consciously, unconsciously. So I think it's important to work with people who are more broad based rather than just do Bharatanatyam.
More eclectic kind of point of view, right?
Correct.
If there's one thing, Aravind, that you'd like to revisit from a set design perspective, then what would that be? If there's one scene that you would think you want to revisit?
That's a very hard question because we went through. I mean, what you saw, what you see in the show probably is the 9th iteration, or I don't know how many. So it has gone through many rounds. Yeah, and I think probably we have not done a critical view of it. But obviously there are places that we can make it better. I think I would. I think one place now I can remember the Hanuman crossing the ocean and the sea monster scene. I think that set can be improved further to create what the visual is, because there's I mean in the text as well as the choreography, he goes underwater, he comes out of water. So when he goes underwater, it'll be a different feel to the set, right? So that's what Priyan has captured in the costume colors of underwater fishes. But then the set has to also, probably can be worked that way. Maybe that's one place we can improve.
Right. Also, Aravind, I think with a production like this that has a fairly long shelf life and that will, tour and travel the world, I think in terms of technology, things are moving so fast that you can keep enhancing it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea. We use 3D projection mapping because in our earlier large production, Angkor had physical sets, and they were a nightmare to store it. And then anybody wants to present it, doesn't want to talk to us when they find out that we need 3 containers to come behind us. These sets can be packed. Anjaneyam set can be packed into 8 sleeping bags. That's all it takes to roll it up and put it. And a thumb drive. a pen drive and we can go. So, yeah, technology is, and the thing is, how do you ride those technology changes and yet not diminish your aesthetics? I mean, that's very important.
Absolutely.
So that's why we didn't use LED wall, because LED wall would have been a cheap option.
Yeah, but you were conscious not to. There's a couple of more questions. Every unit of this production worked separately. What changed in terms of choreography when it all came together?
So the independently working, it's not that the units are in isolation until we meet for rehearsal. No. So they work on it and there's exchange happening. And again, we have technology to help us. We have, videos that people take of the rehearsal, send it back to us. And Priya and I were physically there in most of the choreography workshops that happened remotely. So when we come back, we are able to guide our dancers and knowing what changes has happened. So it's a constant thing. So I would say it's very minimal when we bring together. What really happens is the interaction between a unit to another unit. So for example, the Trijada choreography, they do it and come. When they come and meet Lavanya, Lavanya knows what they're doing in terms of video, but actual rehearsal, then there will be the minor changes that happens when they both come together.
Right. There's one question which is not related to costume and set design. It is about what were the lyrical sources for the script?
So the lyrical source of the script this time, when we did Encore, we wrote everything in Tamil and we wrote new lyrics. For this, I was kind of quite steadfast thinking there's enough, text and lyrics available. So we stuck to only the three. So there is Tulasidas, there is Kumarasamy, and there's Valmiki. But what happened is that when they were intermingled and interspersed, it kind of made sense. That is it was a huge discovery for me. I'm not a literary person, but what's a discovery for me that what Valmiki says and can be answered back through Kambar's verses. So they are unique representation of Ramayana. Their flavor of language is very different, but they were kind of can coexist organically. So it was quite interesting. That how we can see. And we had another challenge on the lyrics because something we didn't touch on this call today, but I think I'll just quickly mention it. This vision for this Anjaneyam is not a Natya Nadagam, where the main characters actually, take a lion's share of the stage time and the group dancers just come to do the Tillana at the end. So you can see the Apsaras and Gandharvas are used right through. And that was borrowed from the inspiration from No theater in Japan and Greek theater chorus. So Greek theater chorus, they will bring they will feel for the characters. They will, when Sita wants to end her life, you can see the Apsaras are sad. They also want to end their life. They're also holding the pledge, right? And when Rama and Lakshmana are so sad, they come and announce the arrival. So they tell the audience. So they become the Sutradhara. They become the connectors. They try to advise. So when Lakshmana has fainted and fallen down, it's the Apsaras who tell him, hey, you can do it, Hanuman. You can go and bring the Sanjeevani, right? Now, what was surprising for me, okay, I already put that as a precursor for the show. We put that. But lyrics, it was so fascinating. We saw Kambar and Valmiki have written it that such way. So without altering the original text, the Apsaras could actually tell Hanuman, hey, you wise Hanuman, you can do it. You can go and bring the Sanjeevani. And he's written it that way. Kambar says, you can do it, Hanuman. So it was, it kind of miraculously fit for us. And then when I look back now and listen to Rajkumar's music layering on it and listen, it looks as if all were written for our show, but it's not.
And also the description of Kambar in Tamil also lends so much of ideas to develop our choreographies. So I would say that Hanuman witnessing Lanka, the entire, be it the set, be it the dance choreography, is based on the lyric. So the lyric lend us the idea of how to bring that choreography, or probably the set design that would suit the entire scene. So the lyric also play a big role to influence choreography and also the set design for this production, in this production.
Sorry. There's just one last question, and I'm glad somebody asked this because it's something that this particular scene stood out for me as well. There is a choreographic sequence depicting how Hanuman runs right to the sun to take the mango, right? We're curious about how you created that scene, because it was truly, it's a beautiful scene, and really like, for me, it was one of my most favorite scenes actually, because it was also like, I read that story out to my son actually, and it was depicted so beautifully. So could you talk a little bit about how that scene was created, Aravinth?
Yeah, so maybe Priyan can talk about the choreography of it, but the preamble for how that, because it is actually a very busy scene.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a Raghu trying to do the eclipse, and then Hanuman's trying to catch the sun, then Raghu's not given the chance to do the eclipse, then Indra gets angry, then there's so many characters, and Vayu comes, and so many there. It is a production by itself, that scene.
Yeah.
So visually what we did, where the sets help, I will say that, and then Priya can talk about the choreography. So you see Hanuman is in the garden with his mother. As he tries to leap, of course he can't leap. I mean, physically we can't make him leap to the ceiling of the auditorium. So as he making a leap movements, the set pulls down. The set is pulling down. So the sun, which is up there when he shows his mother, starts to move down, down, down. And then we actually give an illusion the audience have gone up to the cloud. So you'll see they're on top of treetops now. So the audience feel they have been raised from the seat. With Hanuman, they also jumping. So maybe you can tell about the choreography.
Yeah, so the choreography, in terms of the choreography, you will see these two characters on stage, but they don't literally interact with each other. So each one of them have their own journey towards sun. So only the last point where Hanuman jumps over, leaps over Raghu to catch the sun. So we had a kind of a duet choreography, but they never had interaction with each other, where they represent their own nature of moving or jumping or dancing. So that was the approach for the choreography.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Aravinth, I think it's getting late. No, it's late in Singapore. Sorry.
No, I think we should thankful to our viewers that have been with us for so long.
Aravinth, I'm sure more people will catch it later because it will be available for 24 hours, and then it will be available on our YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much for sharing, for helping us, for deconstructing these aspects, because I think it's important for us to revisit a production like this and not just, like you rightly said, watch it once, because it's so much work has gone into it that it's important for us to watch it over and over again at different points to be able to appreciate also the spirit of collaboration, right? It's such a, I think, so many people coming together and pooling in their energy and talent to create a work of art. Thank you so much for sharing these insights. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, Priyan. Thank you, Aravinth.
Thank you.
And I think the Anjaneyam is available until tomorrow evening, right, Aravinth?
Yeah, until India time, IST 9 p.m. So you can watch it till 9:30 to be real. So, but it's 24 hours. So tonight people can watch. Tomorrow morning they can catch. And and I thank a lot of viewers have come in from India this time. So it's really heartening to see that. And Akhila, it was very interesting that when we premiered it in Singapore, we had about 70 over people from India who actually bought their flight tickets and booked their hotels and flew in just for a night to watch the show and go back. So, it's really, feels supported, because it's end of the day, there is Rajkumar sir, there's everybody from India who are working with us. There's, it's a collaboration of true spirit. And now with this online viewing, we see a lot of people from India are watching, and hopefully we will bring it to India. We are trying to bring it to India.
I hope this triggers enough curiosity and sense of wonderment for people to want to actually watch it, live. Because that even though it was a very intimate experience for me to watch it on my television screen all by myself last night, I think it would be so much more beautiful to sit in a dark auditorium and watch it with a whole bunch of people. Nothing can
beat a physical show. And we also want to get out of these Zoom windows and go to the real world as soon as we can.
Hopefully soon. Stay safe and see you all soon. Thank you to those who tuned in.
Thank you so much.
24 hours. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.